I'm excited about all that's happening at Freedom Life Church, and I hope after you guys heard those announcements that you are too. There are a lot of moving parts, a lot of things happening, and we're so excited to launch our fall semester of life groups. And if you want to learn more about that, I really hope that you'll stay for our Vision Cast event that'll be in our lodge right after service. But today I am here because I am going to introduce you guys to our amazing team that we took on a stateside mission trip that is based out of Northwest Arkansas, and we partner with a ministry called Be the One Ministries. It's a phenomenal opportunity to get to go and pour into the lives of people while also receiving so much from it. I have loved Be the One. This ministry launched about 11 years ago, and we have been partnered with them from the start. And Stephen and Katie Sexton are personal mentors in Stephen and I's life, and they're just phenomenal leaders and have such a passion for discipleship and really getting young people out into the world and be in the hands and the feet of Jesus to make a difference in everything that we do. So I'm going to have our team come up. If y'all will give them a hand. All right, so this is some of our students that we took on the trip. We actually had a few more that were with us the week that we went, but they are out of town on vacation this week. And then we have actually had several other students from the Natchitoches area that have attended different weeks of the Be the One trip because they do it 3 times during the summer. We went on week 1. The photos rolling through up here are from some of the outreaches that we did. That was actually from our fun day. We always end the trip getting to do something fun together. And it's just an incredible time of ministry, of stepping out, of doing things maybe that they've never done before. So you're going to get to hear from these students of how God either impacted their life on the trip or maybe even their personal testimony that they're going to share with you today. And they're also going to do a few skits. And these guys are not professional speakers. They've not been trained and gone to classes and done all the things to be able to get up before you today and do it so perfectly and eloquently. But what I can tell you is that they're going to speak from their heart. They're going to speak from what God has done in them and through them. And so I'm excited about that. And they're also going to do a few skits for you guys. And the skits that they do on these trips, for our trip specifically, was definitely geared towards younger kids because we were doing some VBS and outreaches at different places. And so they are short and cute and fun, but there's also a message in there that I think everyone will really understand and get, and we'll talk a little bit about. And we also got to go to Teen Challenge. I think some of you might have been here a few weeks ago when Teen Challenge actually came and ran the service at Freedom Life Church, and that was a men's Teen Challenge group, but this particular Teen Challenge is actually for teenagers. And so these teenagers got to go in with teenagers who have really been struggling with some hard things in their life, and girls with girls and guys with guys, and love on them and pray with them and minister to them. And it was just such an incredible time of ministry that we were able to have with them. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to have our first student step up who's going to share with you today, and that's going to be Miss Bella Lopez.
Hi, my name is Bella, and whenever we were in Arkansas, this lady, her name's Miss Emily, she asked me if I wanted to read her my testimony. So when I read her my testimony, she asked me if I wanted my brother to hear me read my testimony. I said sure. So whenever she went to go get my brother, so when I read my brother my testimony, after I read it to him, we were playing a game, and he asked me to come see him. So then he said that he didn't hear anything that God has done for me in my life. And he asked me if I wanted God in my life forever. I said yes. And so then he prayed for me. And after I read my testimony, I said one thing that God has done for me in my life is that I accepted God in my life forever.
Man, Bella's testimony gets me every time, and actually most of them do. But if you didn't understand what she was saying, she went on this trip and she had prepared a testimony because she's like, I've known God, I've known about God, I've gone to church, all the things. And she had this realization when she practiced her testimony, and her brother, his name's Hunter Broadway. He is actually on the Be the One team. He's still up there serving. His mom told me after first service he's leaving for Belize with the team today, and but he serves with us here at Freedom Life Church whenever he's back in town. And anyway, he challenged her and he said, "Hey, look, where was your pointing to Jesus moment? Where was the moment that you said, 'This is what Jesus did for my life'?" And she was able to realize that, you know what, actually I've never asked Jesus into my heart. And her brother was able to say that prayer with her and lead her to Christ. And if you can't tell, it's a decision that's going to impact her life forever. So let's give her another round of applause. And our next student to share is going to be Miss Layla Prickett.
Okay. I did this first time and it was really bad, so I'm going to redeem myself this time. No, Carla's recording me. No. Okay. So my favorite part of the mission trip was definitely the second outreach we did. The first one was fun too, but we were just dancing on the street corner looking absolutely retarded. Well, crazy. Not gonna say that word. Sorry, Jesus. But I really liked the second one because we actually got to interact with people and I could connect with them in a spiritual way, which was very special for me. And I got to pray over them, which I've never done before because I'm not a very social person. So the outreach really helped me to go out and be more outgoing and actually talk to people and not just look at them awkwardly like I normally do. Did I just turn this off? No, I didn't. And with that, it gave me the confidence to share my testimony, which was mainly about forgiveness. But I'm not going to share that because the little children in here. Hold on, what was I going to say? I don't know what I was going to say. Where was that? Where was that? Oh, I know what I was going to say. But growing up, a lot of people hurt me. And now that I'm older, I'm able to forgive those people. And if me, a 15-year-old girl, can, then you can. So if I wanted to leave you with one thing, I'd say just because, a couple bad things happened to you or someone betrayed you or whatever the thing is, doesn't mean that your story is over, and you always need to forgive that because that's what Jesus would want us to do.
I'm so proud of Layla. You know, this is hard. It is hard to be up on this stage and look out here at all these people and to step out and to say what God did for you and what God did in you. And I know Layla personally, and I know some of her story and the things that she's lived through and experienced. And what I can tell you is for her to speak from that place of saying, I chose to forgive these people anyway, is a big deal. And I'm really proud of you, and I'm really proud of how much you've grown in the last year since I met you. And I'm so excited to see how God's going to continue to impact your life as you pursue Him and choose forgiveness, because it is a daily decision. So now we're going to have our first skit. So if y'all all want to go and get set up and prepared for that, that'd be great. And they'll be up here to do that. And I'll come back and close it up.
Hey, I'm Jesus. Could Joe hold these for me? I'll be back later.
cool. Can I have some? Okay.
Wait, I have some. Take some of mine.
Thanks.
Sharing with others doesn't give you anything.
What you got in your bowl?
Nothing.
Can I have some?
No. Go away.
Here, you can have some of mine.
Really? Thank you.
Yeah.
My daughter, it looks like you're low on supplies.
Well, I gave some to people who didn't have any.
You've done right by giving, and because you gave, I give you more.
Hey, where'd you get such a big bowl from?
Well, I gave my first and my best, and Jesus gave me more to give. That's why it's important to always give.
Whatever.
All right. So did everybody kind of get the message of what was happening here, right? So Jesus comes and gives them a bowl of balloons in this situation. But in whatever it is in our life, Jesus comes and he gives us different things that we're responsible for, whether it's our gifts and our talents, whether it's financial things that we can do, whether we're stewarding people, a position, a job that we may have, whatever it is, God is opening up this door to where you can choose to do something with it, or you can choose to be selfish with it. And God wants us to give. And that's one of the things that they really teach and implement throughout Be the One in this whole entire trip is to always give. That we want a culture and a people who choose to give all the time. Give of what we have, give of our time, give of our finances, our resources, whatever things that we have that we can make available, that we would choose to give those things. Because let me tell you, there is something way better that comes when we give. And so I'd encourage you guys to take note of that today. So we're going to have the rest of the team come back up. I think it really helps them to have each other here whenever they step out to share. All right, so we're going to have a few more students step out and share today. And so next we're going to have Abe.
All right, so during the Be the One trip, we did a lot of outreaches. One of the outreaches we did was going to the park and like handing out waters and praying for people. And so this was the first time I like went out in public and actually prayed for somebody, because before I've never prayed over anybody. I've only prayed to myself and like in my head. And so doing this was like a big leap of faith. Like I was really scared and nervous. However, when I did it, God gave me the words to like say when I was praying for the person I prayed for. And so it was just like a really big thing for me. I was able to overcome my fears and pray for that person.
Abe, how old are you? How old are you? 14. Do you guys know that it's really hard to do that? It doesn't matter how old you are, if you're 14 or 44. It is still really hard to pray out loud over somebody else. And so he's saying that he made that step of faith, and he chose to do it anyway, even though he was afraid, even though he was nervous, even though there were probably some really intimidating factors in the whole situation, he still said yes. And God does what he always does. He's so faithful. And he said, God gave me the words to say. When I opened my mouth and I began to be obedient, God gave me the words to say. I think that's so cool, and I love how good God is. Our next one is going to be Miss Chloe.
So my absolute favorite outreach that we did was actually the first one that we did, which was dancing on the street corner. So we loaded up everyone in cars, and we drove down to this street corner. It was just a street corner. And we got everyone out. We had like pinwheels and leis and a bunch of signs, noisemakers, all sorts of stuff. And we just danced to all the stereotypical, you dance to these songs, like Church Clap, Cupid Shuffle, just all of them, all of them. And it was just super cool to see people that would be stopped at a stoplight, and you could just see that we might have confused them, but they were smiling, they were happy. It was cool to see so many just kids just dancing, And it was so amazing to see like people playing rock, paper, scissors through the window, or whenever we had this sign that said honk if you love Jesus. I swear, every single time that someone honked, we all went absolutely nuts. And it was just really cool to see people who might have had a really bad day. They could have had the most awful day ever, but seeing us 40 plus teenagers just dancing, waving around signs like maniacs, just generally making complete fools of ourselves, just completely turned their day around. So that was definitely my favorite outreach.
You know, I love that Chloe pointed that out. I remember even thinking when they were telling me about all the outreaches that they were going to be doing on the trip, and this was the first one, and I thought, it's kind of random. And I thought actually about my kid down there, and I was like, he is not going to enjoy this. That is not his cup of tea. And so to hear people say, actually, that was my favorite one. That one meant the most to me because I could see the joy on people's faces through their car windows. And I mean, how many of us want to get out on a street corner and dance and act crazy, or we're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Look who just drove by. Oh my word, you know, like trying to hide ourselves. But to go out there unashamedly because you know that you're doing it for the goodness of God. You know that you're doing it to give glory to Jesus and to help bring people joy. And so I love that she said that. I mean, this is one thing that she mentioned is like, you just don't know what kind of day somebody's had. And so they could have just gotten a call of like a terrible diagnosis, or they could have gotten a call that a loved one got in an accident, and they come up to that stoplight and they look over and they're able to smile. And in a moment that could be so awful. And so for some of those people, they're going to remember that for forever because it's going to be the thing that made them smile after something so terrible was told to them or news delivered. And so I just love that so much. And so our next one in this moment is Gavin. Gavin Solomon is my son. And so Gavin definitely is a little shy, and he is the youngest one on our team. He is 11 and technically not old enough, but he went on his first Be the One mission trip when he was 1 year old. And he has been every year since then except for COVID year. And on some form, whether it was stateside or international, we have gone on a Be the One trip, and he has gone with our family. And Stephen and I struggled a little bit letting him go this year. And just even though we're there, we were, in Rogers and participating in parts of it. But just to know that he's growing up. And he wasn't coming home with us every night. And he was staying with the team and participating and really being a part. And it was just so great. And I'm super proud of him. And but we are working still on getting public speaking a little more out in the open for him. And so he and I worked together to write down what God really did for him on the trip, or his favorite outreach in the trip. And so we kind of talked it through, and I said I would read it for him if he stepped up here and stood with me. And so I'm going to do that. Is that good, or you want to do it? So he said, "Good morning. My name is Gavin Solomon, and I'm 11 years old. This was my first time to be on the Be the One team. My favorite part of the trip was the VBS we got to lead 3 nights of the trip because we got to teach little kids about Jesus. Teaching children about him is so important to me because I have seen the value it brings to my own life." I'm proud of you. I know it's hard to get up here, and it might be even harder, the fact that I'm his mom and that's Grandpa. But I'm really proud of him for stepping out, for choosing to be a part of the team. And he does. He serves with everything that he has, and he gives it his all. But we're going to help coach him through these moments until he can do it one day. I believe he will. But we're going to do our second skit now. And so if our team wants to come and get prepared to make that happen.
No way. Look at that nerd.
The nerd alert is going off the charts.
Hey, maybe we shouldn't make fun of her.
It's my. Oh my God. I mean, look at her. She doesn't even have any friends.
Yeah, who does she think she is wearing them clown glasses?
Well, if y'all are going to make fun of her, then we can't be friends anymore.
Fine, we don't need you anyways.
Yeah. Go hang out with that weirdo.
Hey, can I sit?
Are you talking to me?
Well, considering you're the only one over here, yeah.
Well, humans never really talked to me before.
What do you mean humans never talked to you before?
Never mind. What'd you come over here for?
Well, my friends weren't being very nice like how Jesus would be.
Jesus. Who's Jesus?
Jesus is a man who came to earth and listened and talked to people like we're doing right now.
Wow, this Jesus dude sounds pretty cool. I wish I could get to know him more.
I can tell you more about him.
Okay.
I think we have probably at some point in our life all been in this kind of situation to where you get to choose, are you going to join in with the other friends and make fun of someone? Are you going to choose to be like Jesus and to stand up for what you know is right and what Jesus would do? And so that's what they're showing you in this skit is, you know, sometimes there are people that are a little different than us that maybe are just a little odd, but that's okay. We need to make sure that we're intentional to connect with all of those people because every person matters. Every one of us is a child of God. And so we have to make sure that we're intentional with that. And so I love how, you know, they just take the time to point that out of like, hey, you know, she's weird. Oh, she's such a nerd or whatever. And well, actually, you know, when Bella takes that moment and she's like, hey, I can't hang out with you guys if y'all are going to be mean to her. And they're like, oh, we don't need you. And so many of us in that moment would turn back around and be like, actually, it's okay. Like, I'll come with you. We won't really make the stand to walk over. But when you do, it changes everything. And I don't mean for just you, but for the person that you're going to sit with, for the person who you're going to take the time to say that to. And, you know, I grew up in church, like, when my dad introduced me, he's the pastor here. The older I get, the more I've realized that I take that for granted so much, or I have in my life. And it's really opened my eyes to see that everyone didn't have that. Everyone didn't grow up in church knowing about Jesus and hearing the Bible stories. And, you know, God's so faithful in who he pairs us with that is the story of Stephen and I. You know, he didn't even meet the Lord until he was 16. And so he helps balance me in that area and remind me of like, hey, everybody doesn't know that. Everybody doesn't know that, Tori. And so it's just so precious to watch this interaction happen and how she goes and sits down and says, man, that's just not what Jesus would want me to do. And she's like, who's Jesus? Because even though you may know all about him, you may have been taught about him since you were a super young child, or maybe even just all of your adult life. And so you forget that there are people out there that literally have no idea who Jesus is. And by you taking that step and walking over and sitting down with someone could be the opportunity for you to lead that person to Christ. And then guess what? It's more than just a conversation. It's more than just a kind gesture that you made. You have affected eternity. Man, is that not so powerful? That's what Jesus wants us to do. So now we're going to have a couple more students step out and share their testimony with you before they do their final skit of this morning. So next we have Abby.
Hey, I'm Abby, and I'm going to share my testimony with y'all. So I always grew up in a Christian home with Christian parents who have taken me to church as long as I can remember. And I got saved at a young age. So I thought, okay, I know stories of the Bible. I'm saved. I'm good. There's not really anything else that I could know. And Be the One showed me that that's not true. that there is a relationship that I could have with God, that there are things that I could be doing, that I could be journaling, that I could be talking to God, that I could be telling others about Him. It's not just about being saved and knowing stories. It's about having that relationship, taking that time out of your life to talk to Him, journaling down your thoughts and talking to others about Him. And they really showed me and pushed me to have that relationship with Him. And I thank them so much for that. So if there's anything that I want to leave y'all with today, it's that as much as you think you know God, there's still so much more to learn.
You know, I love that statement she wraps up with. As much as you think you know about God, there's always more. Because that's just the reality of it. No matter how long you've been saved, no matter how much Bible you have read or how many times you have read through it, you still will never get there where you know it all. If you thought that, I'm real sorry to burst your bubble today. Because it's just not the case. You're never going to get to the place that you know everything about God or that your relationship is the best that it could ever be. There is always room for growth. There is always room to learn. And so that's how we want to be. We want to be continually pushing for that. So our next one is going to be Mr. Tanner.
Hi, I'm Tanner. I'm 14, and I'm so excited to share my testimony. I always grew up in a Christian home and went to church every Sunday and Wednesday, but I never really had a deep relationship with God. I always found church pretty boring, and I struggled with many insecurities like self-worth and confidence. When I got saved, I didn't really feel any different, and my family and I wanted more out of church because we felt like we could have a deeper relationship with God, so we moved to Freedom Life Church. Freedom Life has helped me to step out of my comfort zone and be more bold. When I heard about the Be the One local trip, I thought it would be fun, but also feared stepping out of my comfort zone. The local trip allowed me to get out of my comfort zone and made me more confident and bold. I'm the most confident and bold I've ever been in my life. The thing I would like to leave you with is that nobody else's opinion is, I guess, so nobody's opinion matters as much as God's does. Well, yeah.
I love the way that they are wrapping up what they're saying and sharing with you guys this morning. Because, oh my goodness, how much different would all of our lives look if we actually took that to heart? And that is the way that we lived our lives. That everyone else's opinions don't matter as much as God's. His is the only one that we should care about. We shouldn't be striving for to appease or please or impress the people around us. We should be only striving to pursue God because His opinion of us is the only one that matters. And so I think that is so powerful what he says about how God has just helped him to come out of his shell and to be more bold and to be confident in who he is because God created him uniquely him. He did it on purpose. There's a specific design and calling on each of your lives so that you can step into what God has for you. And as we embrace that and we stop trying to be like somebody else, but we be who God has called us to be, then everyone is going to fulfill the role that they're supposed to in the church as a whole, as the body of Christ. And we're going to be so much healthier, and we're going to be able to make such a bigger impact in our community, in our state, and in our nation. And that is the desire of our hearts. So they're going to move into the final skit, and then we have one more student that's going to share before we wrap up the service. So y'all go ahead and get set.
Whoa, are you okay?
I fell and twisted my ankle.
That looks bad. I'll go get help. Do you know any doctors?
No?
Howdy there, feller. What happened?
I fell and twisted my ankle.
Here, this should help.
Nope, that doesn't work.
Well, I tried.
Oh no, what happened?
I fell and twisted my ankle.
Let's see if I have anything. Try these.
Ooh. Nope, that didn't work either.
Sorry, that's all I've got.
Are you the guy that twisted your ankle?
Yeah.
Well, you're in luck because I'm a doctor.
Okay.
Don't worry, you're in good hands. I've been in 9th grade for 5 years.
That's reassuring.
That should do it.
Nope. That
I
didn't
tried
work.
my best.
Nothing's working. God, please heal my ankle. Amen. Hey, that feels better. All I had to do is pray.
Hey guys, I found it. Oh, are you okay? Oh, okay.
Y'all give them another round of applause. All right, y'all come join me one more time. I love that skit. It's such a great reminder that really all we have to do is pray. How many times do we explore every other option before we remember to just go to God in prayer? We're Googling the best remedy. We're calling our nurse friends. We're calling our mom. We're, how do I fix this? What do I do? And like, did you ever actually take a moment to stop and pray? Sometimes we may not get such immediate answers as Tanner did, where he stood up and his ankle was instantly healed. Sometimes you may. Sometimes the answer may come a little differently than what you expected. But God hears your prayers, and He does answer us. And so we have to sit, we have to be patient, we have to remember to give God everything that we have, to give Him our first. Instead of that being our last resort and the last thing that we go to, that prayer is our first option, always. That doesn't mean that you don't go to the doctor. That doesn't mean that you don't do other things. But all the while, your first thing, your first response in any situation should be prayer, because God is with us through all of it. So we have one more student that's going to share as we wrap up today, and that's Miss Annalise.
Good morning. My name is Annalise, and I came here prepared to share my testimony, but during first service, as we were worshiping, God was tugging at my heart to share an interaction I had with a girl at Teen Challenge. So I went in, and we played some games, got to know the girls a little bit, and then at the end, Miss Tori shared a Devo, and then we all prayed together. Well, I went and talked to this girl named Letha, and I was like, is there anything you want me to pray over today? And she just didn't really want to talk about anything. And I was like, yeah, that's totally fine. You don't have to. Would it be okay if I still pray over you? And she was like, yeah. So we prayed together. And as soon as we were done praying, she just started telling me everything she was going through and basically her story. And it just kind of showed me that God works in mysterious ways. And in that moment, He knew that she needed to talk, and so He was able to use His power and goodness, and we were able to connect, and it shows how powerful prayer is, and I thought it fit perfectly in with the play we just did. So, yeah, thank you.
I think I'm so incredibly proud of this team and what they've accomplished and just going and saying yes, because it is a scary thing. Just like Tanner mentioned in his testimony of like, I had this feeling that I wanted to do it, but then I was kind of nervous because like I was going to have to step out of my comfort zone, and that's really awkward and uncomfortable and difficult, but he did it anyway. And that's the story with all of these students, is they said yes anyway. And I'm so proud of them for doing that. But we don't want to close out our service today without giving you an opportunity to accept Jesus if you never have before. And so they're going to start a worship song, and I'm just going to ask everybody to take a moment, to bow your head, to close your eyes as I ask you a couple of questions. If you're here today and maybe your story is similar to Bella, maybe you say, I went to church, I knew all the things, but you never have actually accepted Jesus into your heart. And you say, today I want to do that. Or maybe this is your first time to ever come to church and you're like, actually, I don't even know anything about all of this Jesus stuff you're talking about, but it sounds kind of cool and I do want to meet him. We want to give you an opportunity to do that. And so if that's you, if you say, you know what, I have never been saved and I want to ask Jesus into my heart today, we just ask that you slipped your hand up, because we just want to pray with you. We want to take a moment and say that prayer. I don't see anybody raising their hand for salvation, but I also want to ask you that, like several of these students shared today, maybe you are saved, but you haven't really been pursuing that relationship with Jesus. You accepted Christ as your Savior, but you've kind of just been going through the motions. You haven't been working to deepen any kind of relationship with him, to pursue him, to grow in your faith. And you say, today I want to make that decision and do that. I want to choose to pursue God with everything that I have. If that's you today, I just ask you to slip your hand up and we're going to say a prayer together. If you say, that's me, I want to pursue God with everything that I have. I see those hands. Thank you so much for your honesty. Thank you so much, because that is what it takes for you to raise your hand and say, you know what, that's me. I want to give God all of me. So if everybody else stand up together, we're all just going to say a prayer. Our team, the congregation, everybody. I'm going to lead you in a prayer that if you'll just repeat after me, I believe that if you mean it in your heart, that it is going to begin a journey to be intentional with your relationship with Jesus. Say, Jesus, help me pursue you with everything that I have. Strengthen me. Give me boldness. Give me confidence. Help me step out of my comfort zone. I want to know you more. I want to grow deeper in my relationship with you continually for the rest of my life. I love you, Jesus. Amen.